Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Mira Dost, the marketing executive representing Dubai Quality Group. We would like to thank you all for attending the webinar with us today. And we'd like to welcome Dr. Dania, our esteemed speaker, who will guide us through the topic of the global cyber threats of 2025. Today, we will discuss the top 5 emerging cyber threats forecasted for 2025, learn how AI is being used by hackers and defenders, understand the traditional firewalls, get insights to cybercrime, explore vulnerabilities in cloud-first infrastructure, decode the role of predictive threats intelligence in 2025, learn what zero trust architecture means today, and find out how businesses are rethinking cyber resilience. For our distinguished guests, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A section, and we will answer them at the end of the session. I will leave the floor now for Dr. Dania to start the webinar.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Dania.
Thank you so much. And in case there is any kind of a question which you want to raise in between the webinar also, please notify me that you have a question and we can take it at that time. To start with global threats today, I think we are all vulnerable. According to me, every one of us is vulnerable today on the cyberspace, especially with the advent of AI and fake videos and audios coming out. Every one of us is vulnerable today, especially because all of us today live in this particular space called cyberspace. We are all on this digital platform, whether we like it or not. Forever, 24/7, everything about us is on the digital media. Now, the rising number of attacks globally, the percentage is really overwhelming. It's how you look at it, basically. It is not that the number of criminals are by and large increasing, but the point is that all of us, we are increasing our transactions on the digital space in such huge volumes that the scope for any kind of illegal activity is also there on the digital space more than the terrestrial platform these days. So the rising cyber attacks is just doesn't mean that we are getting into a very bad space or we're getting into a very, very bad world or anything like that. It is just that there is a transition of our lives from the terrestrial platform to the digital space, wherein the crime is also transcending itself from the normal platform, the terrestrial platform that we have all been living till now, to the digital platform. Now, the next thing is that data privacy risk is there. Basically, the primary thing that causes the privacy risk is that most of us have not defined or understood what data is. Everything that we do online is data. Even when we just look at our screen for 2 minutes, it is data today. Because the algorithm reads that you are reading this particular content or you are viewing this particular content for more than 2 seconds, which means you're interested in the content or similar contents. And you as a person would be the virtual identity with which you are logging in or with which using which you are actually viewing this data. So it definitely doesn't just talk about data, the concept of files and the content in the files and things like that. Every transaction today is a data. So when every transaction is a data, it is important for us to evaluate this data also. We have to understand what of our information we are willing to share out to the world, or we are willing to give out to the world. So once the data concept is clear, the privacy concept is also clear. The risk associated with it can be definitely defined or mitigated. Now, this is a very shared responsibility. I will not agree to if somebody says that, governments or national authorities have to take care of data privacy, have to take care of this thing, and we have nothing to do with it. No. Every one of us have a shared responsibility to keep the cyberspace safe, to manage it safe, and also to transact in it safe. The nations also have a big impact with cyber threats. Uh, I don't know, of late, if you look at it, I don't know how many of you have followed this international news where we are talking about nations gearing up for cyber warfare. Now, every person, now see, when you talk about a war, basically the impact of the war is for every citizen living in the involved countries. But when you're talking about safeguarding the national interest in a war zone, it basically looks like, it's the job of the uniformed officers or uniformed men. But it is not like that on the cyberspace. Every one of us, every civilian, every national living there can contribute towards making the nation safer or unsafe. So any kind of a digital infrastructure, when you're talking about the digital infrastructure being maintained by the people, when they're not being used properly or maintained properly, it causes disruption. And most of the crimes that we are talking about may be intentionally, the attack is brought out intentionally. But the reason why the attack has been successfully carried out and the impact has caused, the reason would be an insider. And it is usually a human being who deals with the space, who has been either careless or unaware of such a threat. So carelessness is something else. Being unaware about the fact that how to be safe with this particular space, or what are my responsibilities as far as this space is concerned, that's entirely two different things again. Now, global cyber threat landscape per se, if you ask me, it is by and large increasing, where nationals or nationalities are collecting data, working on data, and working on the complex nature of data to understand what are the vulnerabilities of data. Now, I'm still continuing on the pretext of a national interest, because we'll start from there and then percolate down to the individual space, from national level to organizations, then to the individuals. Earlier, it used to be the other way, but now I think it is more important that every one of us dealing with the cyberspace should understand what is our responsibility as far as a national infrastructure is concerned. So every country today is investing in studying the complexity of the data, collecting data to understand the vulnerabilities. There are two reasons. One is to know where to attack, when to attack the enemy country, and also to understand what are my vulnerabilities or what are my nation's vulnerabilities to protect such vulnerabilities. Now, AI power attacks, the five major threats that we are going to see in broader headlines: AI powered attacks, quantum computing risk, deepfake exploits, IoT vulnerabilities, and ransomware evolution. Ransomware, we have heard uh, since about, say, 7 years, we have heard it being a very common thing, where ransomware impacts the data or the systems of an organization. When I say organization, it impacts the country's organization, or even a organization, institution organization kind of. So where there are two impacts, where your data which you've collected, which you're working on, becomes unavailable because of ransomware attack. Then the second thing is that it becomes the value of that data that we have been working on gets diminished. In most of the ransomware attacks that we have worked till now I'm 23 years into this industry, and our organization is 15 year plus in this industry. We have seen so many ransomware cases across the globe that uh, the results of coming back or getting back from a ransomware attacks have also been very different. In spite of organizations paying the ransom and getting the data back with the decryption key, getting the data back and trying to use it before like how they have been using it before the attack has been nearly impossible, because the validation of the data reduces. There are certain errors which come into the data which makes it impossible to use the data with the same value. But the data has been recovered and has been used for some kind of a reference values. Some organizations, in spite of paying ransomware, have not been able to decrypt the data also. Whereas some organizations, we have refused to pay the ransomware, we have collected the data back. I mean, we have retrieved the data, breaking the encryption. Again, then the question is the validation or the value of the data or the authenticity of data that can be retrieved. So ransomware and most of the ransomware attacks happen within the organizations because their infrastructure is not properly secured. They have not done a vulnerability assessment or penetration testing. They have not understood what the gaps are. The gaps have not been plugged. I mean, when there is no understanding about the gaps, there is no question of plugging the gaps, but the gaps have not been plugged. And also because the users in the infrastructure are unaware about how attacks can come into their network, or how the attacks can percolate into them or their systems. So these are the reasons why ransomware basically happens. And only the kind of encryption or the quantum of data that can be encrypted, that is a kind of evolution that you can see in the ransomware. Otherwise, the impact of ransomware is the same from the beginning till yesterday. The case that has come to us yesterday, it's the same. Now, IoT vulnerabilities, Internet of Things are into so many things in our life that we don't understand where all we are using it. Our punching cards, if we are checking into a hotel, our hotel cards, our car keys. Now we are getting into a space where every electronic device in our home or our office listens to our voice commands, or has something to do with our mobile, where we can assign smart gates, smart gadgets. You can life has been very made simpler for most working people, because they can assign a lot of work back home with the smart gadgets back in the kitchen or at home. You can get your AC turned on before you reach home. You can have your washing machine working on on your voice commands, or you can actually program it, timer tune it, and then leave it there. You have your kitchen equipments, you have your refrigerators, you have your doors working. These are all IoT gadgets which can bring vulnerabilities. Uh, there is again, that's a Chinese product which has come out, which has been brought out, which reads such signals, magnetic and radiomagnetic signals, and decodes it where people can copy it. So we think we have this access card to a hotel room where this cannot be duplicated, and we say that there is a privacy to our room. Only this key works onto the room, and you know, anybody can just have an access to your key from somewhere. Not even where they get a physical. They can touch the key, but probably have placed it in your pocket, and they just sit next to you. They run through, read all these signals using that gadget that they can decode it, and they can copy it, clone it into a different thing. So IoT devices vulnerabilities are by and large very, very high, and I don't think most of the users are conscious or cautious about the fact of how they can be safe on this particular platform using the IoT devices. Car keys, they can be replicated. There is nothing called security because it works on only on our key on the radiomagnetic waves are usually read and decoded actually. So that is it. Deepfake exploits basically because most of our data is available on the internet to copy in such a way that it looks better than the original. And we all see a lot of it happening on the social media, where we see personalities coming out and talking about certain things where, I mean, like investments or certain education packages or certain opportunities. You know, we have had very important personalities from UAE being replicated by using deepfake exploits to portray that they're giving offers that you can come here to Dubai and or somewhere in UAE, have your office established. We have that privilege, this privilege. These are not. It is very easy to do such things because to make fake videos or to make fake voice recordings or to make fake data, original data is available to copy. Original videos are available to copy. Now, quantum computing risk also is associated with it can actually be somewhere very, unless you go into the very technicality or where high-end technical possibilities of programming to it, the impact of AI and quantum computing risks are almost the same because both work on the immense collective data that comes into place, where a lot of data is collected, lot of data is fed in, and the data is made to work on the programming to give us certain results. So basically, when you're talking about AI programming or AI things also, what we need to understand is that the programming code needs to be trained with certain data. Now, what data? If we feed wrong data, AI will give us wrong results. So we need to be sure that the data is collected and put in, and the AI module is trained in such a way with proper, validated, and authentic data. We'll see what are the AI-based attacks that we see. Advanced automation, adaptive threats, sophisticated phishing, and increased scale. See, advanced automation is definitely, see, AI can, or any kind of an attack on the digital space can be more in number, or the impact could be by and large greater only because there is a lot of adaptation to us by every human being into this automated world. Now, adaptive threats are also adapting itself to this particular technology, which makes the criminal's life also very simple. The sophisticated phishing, uh, to the word I put it as sophisticated phishing, phishing per se is the same. It's like, you go have a bait in your hand and you leave it in the waters to know if any fish will come and catch on to the bait. But on the digital media, fishing is more simple because the bait is out there and the same bait can be hooked by multiple victims. You don't need different baits for multiple victims to come and hook onto it. So fishing is by and large a very simple thing that can happen on the digital space. The sophistication is in packaging the phishing, basically, where what we, I mean, I'm professionally an investigator. So we call it a story narration. So whenever there is a case coming in, there is a story that comes along with it, which says, okay, this happened. I saw this mail came in, or this voice call came in, and then I went and hooked on to this, or I clicked on this, or I downloaded this. I mean, the before the action happens, there is a story that comes in. The packaging of the story is what makes phishing sophisticated to identify where the receiver gets a mail or a call or a link, and the receiver doesn't understand that this is a phishing attack. So that is a sophistication. Otherwise, if you ask me, some phishing on the digital space is more very simple, technically very simple. Increased scale is again an advantage of digital space, that one single post can reach multi users. Now, that is the advantage of the cyberspace, which is again working against us or against the world, because the criminals are also able to reach out by and large to a larger number of audience. Quantum computers could break encryption instantly. That is the basic risk that we are talking about as far as quantum computing is concerned, because encryption again is very vulnerable, because traditional cryptography is also, we have seen that it doesn't work very effectively with the quantum attacks or the modern kind of a attacking system using AI or quantum computing. Now, data exposure is really, really large. This kind of sensitive data that comes out every day because of the users allowing certain provisions. Whenever we download a particular app on our gadget, on our mobile phones for our use, the permissions that the app asks, if we don't allow it, if we don't agree to the permissions, then we cannot use the app. Because of which every user gives the permission for the app to use our data. And they capture every single transaction of us, which includes a voice transaction, a text transaction. I mean, the kind of data that every day we are exposing ourselves with, that the data exposure risk is really, really high. Now, see, whenever we are talking about a legal system or a security system, it actually can only follow the technology, the basic technology. So the quantum resistant security is still under an R&D and it's still working its way through. Uh, none of your security procedures or your legal procedures can actually overtake the technology and say, tomorrow this technology is going to come, so I will be here ready to protect you. No, the technology has to come. It has to pose its vulnerabilities, its gaps and all to us. And that is when we actually can come up with something called a resistant security and the legal security as well. Now, deepfake exploits again. Now, what happens with the deepfake is that it creates a deceptive media, and it creates so many fake videos. Like the example I told you, you can see personalities coming out and making or talking about certain schemes which they have not even thought about, which they have not even dreamt about, they're completely unaware of. But the moment a video of a personality comes out or is put out by a criminal, it goes, uh, it hits so many people that there are so many buyers to this even fake video or the content that goes out, that the fraud or misinformation or fake information is spread in such high volumes and in such high numbers that sometimes we actually would be it is many times it has perplexed me in quite a few ways, that I have not understood how so many people have so much money just to lose, just to give away to fraudsters. I mean, I'm talking about individuals, organizations per se. Of course, the loss is when they get a legal issue behind it. Identity theft risk is there because if somebody can pose online like it is me and talk about something which is not my ideology, not something that I agree for, or I can they post a video where they talk about a misinformation about being digitally safe, that means my identity is at risk too. Now, detection challenges are also there. There are no none of us actually go through videos or data that is transferred to us into our inboxes to check for its authenticity using any app. There is no app which can actually tell you, okay, this is fake, that is original, or this is fake and the other one is original. No, there is no app which can come and tell you in any such thing. So detection is also a major challenge as far as deepfake exploits are concerned. IoT vulnerabilities also, I did mention the examples of it. From your car keys to the gadgets at home, to the Siri that you have at home, or your Google Assistant that we have on our phone, or any of such things that we use, which is connected to our IoT devices, it becomes really vulnerable because none of our biometrics data is safe too, or there is no limitation as to how, when, and where all we have given out our biometric data as well. So that's it. That's it about it. Now, ransomware evolution. Also, I talked about it in the beginning itself. Like, I have not seen in my experience where the encryption per se has changed so much. Encryption and decryption methodologies, high-end encryptions. I mean, technically, it has evolved. Maybe it has evolved 20%, but the way it packages itself uses the phishing mechanism to get somebody to actually click on the link or click on the download the content that is being sent to them, which enables this ransomware attack. That is the most evolved criminal structure, if you ask me. The Solar wins in 2020. I'm just going to give you a few case studies. You can actually look up these case studies on the Wikipedia too. It has actually exploited the software supply chain, which organizations worldwide were using for solar wind. And they fell down. They just went into a complete crash. Again, this case study is also on the Wikipedia. It says that it's where the fuel pipeline was interrupted because of ransomware. There are a lot of health sector organizations, which are hospitals, wherein data has been logged out completely. Export-oriented organizations, data logged out completely. Some organizations had to even work for about 18 days to get back the data or to restore the data so that they can go on with the operations of the organization smoothly. And when we are talking about Wikipedia information, and they talk about huge organizations, but these do impact very small or micro, mini, or small scale organizations as well in the same way. Because once the ransomware attacks your system also needs to go for a trash. It cannot be reused. National security threats, any kind of critical infrastructure like your power grid, like your airport system, your pipeline system, your gas supply system, your water supply system, anything can go for a disruption. And most of the countries today even see metro lines. Some kind of an impact on the metro line, the kind of bloodshed that is going to happen is like unimaginable. You don't need a physical bomb to be placed in any country for such things. You just need to disrupt some of the infrastructure, and we can see bloodshed in much bigger volumes. Data breaches. Any kind of government infrastructure data is a sensitive data as far as the country is concerned. So any kind of data breach that happens to such organizations, it is considered as huge data breach. Sorry, I'm very sorry for that. Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes, Dr. Daniel.
Sorry. I'm really sorry for that disturbance. Okay. So let's go. It was not a data breach, but sorry, but extremely sorry for that. distraction. Okay. Now, data. I was talking about data breach. There are instances where a pen drive was used to steal data from a critical infrastructure, where you copy it and go. We have seen cases where organizations have lost data because they wanted to revamp the computers or their data drives in their organization, and they did not trash their data drives properly. Now, this is a global scenario. It is not specific to any country, or it doesn't mean that one country is safe, the other country is not, but it's a global scenario. So we have seen such things also happen, which definitely talks about sensitive data about a country being taken away to a different country. Now, you look at it on a little more smaller scale, the sensitive information from an organization can be taken to a different organizations. We have seen umpteen number of cases where the client database has been stolen like that, or even manufacturing companies, when you look at it, before they can come out with the product, their design has been stolen by the competitor, their pricing has been stolen by the competitor. And we've seen, such instances are by us. It just keeps coming in, like, once or twice at least every month. Now, because of the misinformation that can go out in public, the political instability is also really, really very dicey in today's world, because everything depends on what we see online, basically, to understand, to believe, to go about, to act. So you don't need some large crowd to be collected into at a place where you need a speaker to come and talk about it, where an orator comes and talks very well and then misleads the public, and there is a mob psychology that works in. But today this is possible with just one post on your social media. Economic impact is also there, where every such transaction causes certain kind of disruptions in the country, within organizations. We have seen certain banks go bankrupt because of such misinformation which has gone out in the public, and the banks had to be taken over, or mergers have come in and all. Now, private sector, yes, financial loss, reputation damage, operational disruptions, and regulatory fines. Now, financial losses, reputation damage, and operation disruptions have been something which we have seen from the time that cyberspace has come in dominance in any kind of industrial operations. But regulatory fine is something which has come out post 2018, when globally there was something called GDPR that came into place, which talks about global data privacy regulations. Now, and then every country went on to create their own data privacy, digital data privacy laws and regulations. UAE came out with something like that in 2023, wherein the penalties are huge. Now, if you are running an organization, and if your organizational data or any of your client data where you have collected the KYC, when I say KYC or data, it just means two unique identical features which can be connected to an identity. For example, if it is my name and my phone number, or my name and my passport number, more than enough, collectively it becomes a data. And if you are collecting such a data, you have to be responsible enough to see that the data is securely managed and securely transacted. If there is a loss of such data from your organization, the penalties are up to 250 million. Yes. It starts from 50,000 AED to 250 million. So the regulatory fines are really, really high. And it is not just necessary that, if you are having an office in Dubai and I come from, say, Australia, they can actually, and my data is lost from your organization, I can file a complaint against you in UAE. I can also take you under the jurisdiction of Australia. So which means both these jurisdictions can come into place, and the fines will also come into place. So it's just not financial loss or your operational disruptions or your reputation that goes in for a problem. If your data is not safe in your organization, there are regulatory fines as well. So that point becomes very important from 2023 onwards. Any questions till now?
Thank you, Dr. Danya. If you have any questions, please leave the question in the Q&A section, or you can raise your hand and we can give you the mic. We will wait for a couple of minutes for the attendees if they have any question, and then we can answer them.
Then by then I will just go through the prevention tactics for cyber threats also and finish it and wait for the questions.
Okay, sure.
So I will finish with this particular slide, which talks about what are the prevention tactics for cyber threats. One would be regular updates. You have to keep your when I'm saying regular updates, it just doesn't mean software or the patches that are coming onto your system or digital space or anything just like that. Every human being also needs to be updated in your information, in your updates about what is happening in this world, what are the threats kind of that, what is the data that I'm dealing with, what are the laws or regulations that are governing the space. So all these needs to be updated on a very regular basis. At least to start off, we have to keep all our software devices and patches updated, which is again, the statistics show that 80% of people do not update the software or the devices regularly. So I think that is one practice that every person using this particular space needs to come into. Use strong authentications. We are all used to using our finger, biometric fingers or our face identification and things like that. No, we have to use stronger or two-factor authentication at every point. Most of the times I have seen PIN numbers being either related to your date of birth or your vehicle number or something like that, or your passwords related to your pet's name, and your pet is all over your social media, where you celebrate your pet's birthday or things like that, where you, so all your authentication mechanisms should be related to you. It should not be easy to guess for any person. It should not be related to any information that goes out in public. So strong authentication should be a practice. For organizations, network monitoring is a process. For individuals, your profile monitoring is a process. Every day you have to monitor your profiles. You have to understand who all are there. What is it that I'm doing? What information am I passing? Do not just for the sake of appeasing your peer or your friend, do not go and like and share anything. If that like and share talks about something which you are not agreeable to, like if it's an anti-national message, just because you say I didn't create it, I only liked it because my friend put it, no, we cannot say I'm not responsible. Every transaction we are responsible. So for organizations, you have to monitor your network regularly using good firewalls, good log systems, log reading systems, etc. And for as far as the personal things are concerned, we have to be monitoring our virtual existence every now and then. For organization, employee training is absolutely important. There is no alternative to this. You have to keep on training your employees on what are the new things that are happening in the industry, what is going on, how it is going on, how they can be upskilled, etc. And as far as individuals are concerned, like I said, we have to be updated and trained too. For all the protected data that should be protected, like, if you have a grading system, every organization should have a grading system. On the personal levels too, if you have a grading system for your data, if you have level 1, the most sensitive data, we have to know how to keep it in proper lockers. And by lockers, what I mean is you have to know how to encrypt them. data. And the encryption protocols should also be maintained clean, neat, and safe. With that, I will leave this for questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Danya. We don't have any questions from the attendees, so I think everything is clear for them. We would like to thank you so much for your time and to thank our attendees for attending with us. We would like to tell you that the webinar has been recorded and it will be shared on our social media platforms and on YouTube if you would like to go back and watch it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so
Thank you so much.
much. Bye-bye.